My name is Gerard Boyle. I'm grandson of Martin Boyle, who was one of the Mila or Mullagmore 4 who spent 9 weeks in Galway prison, in Galway jail in 1916.
Well, the background essentially was the inequality in the distribution of land.
Well, my name is Billy Ward, Bellastep by law, and I'm the grandson of William Ward, who was involved in setting up the Land League in...
Well, I'd say most people would have kept a cow and a few pigs and then a few sheep as well. Because most of the houses, if you look at the census, they had a cow house and a pig house attached to the houses. So they all kept a pig for meat and the cow for milk.
Third world statistic.
And then they would go their own.
So if you didn't have access to land, essentially your life chances greatly diminished.
Generally in East Galway, I suppose it is good land compared to the west of the Corrib. You know, it generally was good land there.
And the good land was frequently in these large grazing farms. You can see immediately how the contention could arise. You know, the situation was ripe for conflict. People trying to eke out survival, you know, a bare subsistence survival. And they're looking over the walls at these big grazing farms.
They were fighting for the rights of people to own their own property, trying to get land divided, because these estates were being left there. And they wanted to get them divided to give a living to the tenant farmers.
So you have on the one hand very small tenants who are impoverished, and on the other hand you have this large-scale commercial agriculture. This has come to be known as the ranch war, and this is where cattle driving originates.
Yeah, it was a protest against the division of land and how the landlords really they still owned the farms, even though my grandfather and the fellow farmers of 1916, they would have worked on the land, but they didn't own the land.
The first recorded cattle drive took place actually in Roscommon in October of 1906, a place called Tongrigee, and then in 1907 you could say the tactic becomes extremely popular, and you get essentially very large numbers of cattle drives. And 1908 is the high point when you get, the police recorded about 800 of them.
On the day. But subsequently it seems the men were arrested. We have no record of it, how that happened, but they were arrested and they were brought to trial in Dublin in June of the following month. The 19 men were sentenced to 4 months in prison. But I think it's because some of them were young, some of them were from 18 to 25, that the 15 younger lads were let go to see how they behave. And Martin Boyle, Patrick McHugh, Thomas McHugh and Thomas Donoghue were sentenced to 4 months. They would be in their 30s and early 40s.
Well, I think they must be regarded, whether they were not, as kind of the ringleaders, or what might be viewed at that time by the RIC, and especially a landed owner, was a troublemaker.
And there was in 1986, Tony wrote the story of the cattle drive for the Tuam Herald. It was on the 70th anniversary of the cattle drive. And it's easy to research today. You can get all the records. It's very easy to get records on the internet. And it's probably easier than it was for him at the time. But he had one advantage on us, that he was able to talk to people that were maybe, some of them were eyewitnesses, but they might have been only kids at the time, but they still were very close to the people involved, and they would have known the story and they'd have known the people involved. So he had the advantage of getting first-hand information, which is gone from us now. It shows the importance of talking to people while they're still alive.
My father has kind of researched, and now we know, and we can pass on to our children, and we can tell them, and we can have maybe a commemoration every few years, or and into 2116 for the next generation.